I pressed the button. We're live. That was recorded, Lucas. Our audience just saw that.
Jazz hands.
Yeah, they just saw your jazz hands. I hope you've been practicing.
Well, good afternoon to everybody that just saw my jazz hands.
I don't think we saw it quite that well. I don't know.
Do it again.
There you go. Only a musician can have jazz hands like that.
I have every reason in the world to have jazz hands today, everybody.
Because you've been up for 12 hours and you're still standing.
I am delirious. I've been up since 4. But
me too.
That's nice. That is not what I refer to, Master Jimison.
Did you get a new snake?
Not yet, but Yeah. What I did get is my very first clutch of morelia eggs of all time. Yay!
Congratulations. Very nice.
Welcome.
That does call for jazz hands.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing. I remember when Bratz was getting his first clutch of pop wins, how stoked he was. I was just super hyped for him. So that's pretty rad, man.
There's no feeling like that. I don't know. Like I was super, super high off of it for a while. Like I still am when I look in there. I'm like, holy crap, she's on eggs. There's so much that goes into it. You guys know, and just the years of research and like, in my case, I got lucky and fast forwarded the growing the animals up part, thanks to Nick. But all of that time, like going to one single payoff, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And I can only think of one thing better: when they hatch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially you're doing maternal, right? Maternal incubation.
I am. She is, she's on them now.
I'm sad because now I need to drop my bread like you're going to crash the market. Oh, dear.
Don't worry. I won't do that.
Well, half of them are going to Nick, and then
they're mostly Nick's animals anyway. Blame him. Blame Nick. Who makes more brettles, me or Nick?
Yeah, exactly. Clearly.
I mean, if you're really paying attention to the market of brettles.
That's
you know who makes a lot of brettles pythons? Me.
This guy.
All jokes aside, though, yeah, and like you said, they have to hatch, but there's so many things that can go wrong at every step of the journey, right? So even just to get to this step where there's perfect, like pearly white eggs, no slugs, that felt like a victory in itself, because she could have completely slugged out and then it would have all been like sad. So
yeah,
it's good.
So I'm curious, and maybe this would be good for the listeners or some of the listeners that may be interested. Like, what do you attribute your success to? What do you think was the key factor in getting her to produce?
I think, well, first and foremost, the key to any success was following Nick's instructions. I do have to give credit where credit's due, But that being said, one thing that I chose to do that is not a Nick recommendation is fairly regularly let them tank into the 40s. And
how is that?
I sent pictures into the chat a few times where I clocked their bodies at like 46. And I just decided that they can handle it. Yeah. And if I was going to experience any infertility or failure this year, I did not want it to be an option in the back of my head for the little voice to say, it's because you didn't get them cold enough.
Right.
I just wanted to eliminate that as a variable. And yeah, I mean, there were some mornings where they were too cold to lift their head, but as soon as I put them back in the cage and they got warm, they're just fine. And so maybe that was a good thing.
So what did you do as far as, like you gave them a hot spot during the day, they could get to regular temps and all that kind of stuff?
Yes. So because of the way I'm set up here in an apartment, I was taking them out in big bins every night, bringing them to the living room with an open window to get cold. Right. So they would then go back into the cages around 8 or 9 a.m. And, the herp stats were set to give them about 80 to 82 degrees for I can't remember. I think it was 6 hours a day.
Okay.
Something around that. And, they would hug it. They would definitely get warm and then do it all over again. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And it's odd, that particular snake, they were all cycled at the same time. Everything was the same, but she went a lot earlier than the other two that are somewhere between pre-lay shed and laying at the moment. And I do not know why. I guess they just do that.
Each animal's
sometimes.
different.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got them all really cold and combated males before every introduction.
Okay.
And I did the car trick once. I threw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Because
there
again, I'm not trying to just mass produce Brettles pythons for the sake of mass producing Brettles pythons. I'm trying to get a robust sample size for my thesis. So it's not all just for making as many babies as possible,
Flood the market.
Yeah, if I wasn't doing this reproductive study, I probably wouldn't have tried all 4 pairs, but yeah.
And you think you hit all 4 females?
I hit 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4.
One is definitely a no-go, and the other 2 are definitely gravid unless I'm being fooled.
And you just got them from Nick, right?
Yes, they came. Well, one of the ones that took is the double het pair that I've had for a couple years now.
Okay.
But then the other 2 were the hypo het stripes that Nick sent me last March, right when COVID started, just about. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I moved with them in September, so they had to to be okay with a lot.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
we get them to go.
No credit to me. I'm glad that they were confident enough animals to not be shaken by that.
Yeah.
Which,
well, I guess that's why they are the superior Morelia.
Bingo. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
How many nights would you say you got them down below 50?
Down below 50. So they were in what I would call the deep cooling for 2 months, which was anything below 70. I got them down to 70 in their cages before I started taking them out. And so of those 2 months, I would say below 50. If I had to guess, maybe 2 or 3 of the weeks.
Okay.
But it wasn't because I was regulating it. It's just that's when it got that cold. Bay Area doesn't get super cold. But it was always below 60 at night for sure. So when they weren't in the 40s, they were probably somewhere in the low mid 50s.
Yeah. I think that adds up. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, they're all individuals. The one that didn't go had all the size and all the age to do it, and she just didn't cycle at all. So what are you going to do? Exact same treatment.
Very cool. Very, very cool, man. And once they start pipping, you'll be
freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already freaking out. Like I've called Zach Loafman, like I think every day since she laid because I was afraid of something going wrong. Like when I saw her come out to bask and get a drink of water and noticed how much of her body condition is gone. I've never seen that before in a Brettles python. So I didn't know if it's normal or if she's like on death's door. And I was freaking out, and he called me. He was like, she's fine. So it's all a learning experience. And I just feel super lucky to have a bunch of knowledgeable folks I can pick brains and not drive myself insane,
Right. Yeah, that's cool. That's Lucas's go-to old guy voices.
Oh, you're right. I was still in Nick mode. Yeah, no, Zach doesn't even sound like that. He was more like, she's fine. Yeah. I guess it's just
like, Eric, I got another podcast I want to do.
I got stuck. Get Nick out of my head.
It was funny yesterday. Owen was so we recorded with it seems like he made the rounds, and I usually don't try not to do that, but it is what it is. But Ryan McVeigh from Vivtech. Owen got Vivitech in my head. Anyway, Owen was like, because it's been a while since it's been me and Owen and a guest, so it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is like the old days, and he was just like guns a blazing, man. He's like, cha, 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 cha. You know, I was like, wow.
That's how it was when we did our stream when you guys were in Texas too.
Really?
Yeah,
he's like, Melissa never lets me talk. I gotta talk. I got so much to say.
Yeah, he unleashes. It's great.
There's a saying that my bandmates used to describe our drummer that kind of applies to Owen sometimes, which is constipation of the brain, diarrhea of the mouth. I say that in the best way.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Because you can tell when it's there, it has to come out immediately. You know, like, he can't sit on it.
I had this nice outline and ready to go and everything. Like, you know, like, okay,
but I have something to say.
He's like, throw that out the window.
Who needs this?
It's what I want.
And it wouldn't be NPR without it.
Yes, exactly.
That's funny.
But yeah, I was telling you guys, it was a cool conversation. A lot of little, like, I just remember, I didn't have a pen and I wasn't writing it down, but like a lot of times when I'm talking to a guest and somebody's getting my brain, thinking in a different way, I'm like, oh shit, there's tons of little tidbits in there about, breeding and keeping. And, one that I thought was was fascinating. I'll give you a little, preview, I guess. Right. So we were talking about enclosures, right? And think about Ackie monitors or like Gidgee skinks, or, it could be anything that lives in cracks and stuff like that. Right. He was saying about how our enclosures, like a lot of these, like, monitors or whatever, like dwarf monitors and stuff, will go and they'll sort of like, they spend the majority of their time in these little cracks and stuff. And he was saying about how the one, I can't remember which species it was, but he was saying that they basically keep their mouth open at the front of the crack, and then they kind of sweep their tail so that the, bugs or whatever that are in that crack will go towards their mouth. And that's, that's how they eat, which I thought was pretty fascinating. And then, he was saying about how, and as we've talked about this before, like microclimates and stuff like that, where it's like these little places and pockets where humidity and all this stuff to where they get to. And I remember reading an article about monitor burrows or something, and it was like so crazy of how, like, how deep and long and complex these burrows were. Yeah. And like we make this cage, and 90% of the cage is based off of the space that the animal doesn't use. And the space that they would use, like a little box, a humidity box or humidity hide, is like 10%, where it should be the opposite way. Like how we design cages should be the opposite, to where like those little cracks and crevices and nooks and crannies and everything should be more elaborate, and maybe try to, get that humidity and temperature and all those things right. I don't know. It just made me think like, wow, I never thought about that,
Yeah. So I picked up those geckos from the show last weekend, but I also picked up a bunch of leaf litter. Nice. And the plan is to use that to literally create those microclimates on the ground. And, because if I missed it once in a while, some moisture will stay trapped under those leaves, and these animals come from a very arid, dry environment. But even animals that come from very arid, dry environments need moisture, and they rely on those little microclimates. So the plan is to, do a little clay wallscape and put cracks and crevices horizontally and linear and vertically, and striate the the cracks deep enough for the geckos to go in there, but then also put these leaves on the ground so they have these little microclimates of moisture to run and hide and retreat to when the big hairy monkey walks into the room. But
That's awesome.
And then what you do is you make it so those little pockets are the favorable conditions for a lot of the time. So for animals that experience high heat, at least on part of the end, you make it that hot, So
yeah.
Greg
100%.
asks, can we just use local leaf litter from around our areas? You can if you treat it. Either deep freeze it for like 3 whole days or bake it at like 250 for like an hour or something. You just definitely need to make sure there's no parasites and stuff on there. There's a lot that you could bring into your collection that way that you don't want. So especially ants and things.
Ants.
Yeah, Lucas knows all about that.
Said the bad word.
Yeah.
Bioactive.
So Ryan had a comment about Martin's reduced pattern diamond clutch.
Oh, I think I saw that picture today. He got one reduced pattern out of the clutch.
Yeah, so he let his diamond female maternally incubate this clutch, and he didn't know how many eggs there were. And once they started hatching, he saw there were 7 eggs. Only 3 made it. I think 4 maybe total hatched, and one of them didn't make it out of the egg or something like that. So 2 normals and 1 RPD. I'm assuming at least the sire was an RPD, because if I'm not mistaken, the dam that was on eggs was not an RPD.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll try and find it right now.
I still think that's a recessive gene.
And just a lot of them are.
I think so too. I mean, I was talking to Todd about it years ago, and he was telling me, because he's close friends with Gary Valle, that Gary was trying to tell him there's a little marker that you can see, and he couldn't see it, but it seems to be recessive. So
yeah, I don't know what it is about the diamond python guys and gals, they don't want to, I don't know, maybe it's chondroitis or something where they think they have magic snakes. I don't know, like somehow the genes are like magic.
You would think that with the amount of years arguing about it, somebody would have just done the right test breedings and figured it out.
Yeah 100%.
Obviously I'm not really in that world. Maybe somebody did and nobody's listening to them, but
here's the female with the first pipping baby. You can see there, and you can see at least 2 or 3 of those eggs are toasted.
Mm-hmm.
And they look pretty dry, so even the good eggs look pretty desiccated. And then I scroll up here's the post Ryan's talking about. 3 pulled out or pulled through out of 7 eggs. So yeah, looks like it's definitely a recessive, but at least it seems to behave that way.
Yeah, I know Greg Heim, he bred reduced pattern diamond to reduced pattern, and he got all reduced patterns.
Well.
I'll drink to that.
Just taking a shot in the dark. I don't know.
Yeah.
Caramel Jungles. Oh, Ryan, what have you become? What is wrong with you? How's the world flipped upside down where the pure guys are now like all into these mutts, and now I'm into pure stuff? I don't. Oh, man.
To be fair, Todd has so many snakes at his disposal. He makes everything. He can throw together like a blender of ingredients. He was posting like caramel zebra Bredli jags and all sorts of stuff out there. So I don't know why Ryan's eye is always drawn to the stuff that like just
what
was
like
that.
What was that weird inland something mix?
Head albino.
Casey Cannon posted in the chat. What was that?
An abomination of some sort.
So yeah,
inland albino, is that what it is?
I think the snakes and stogies, they were kind of talking about this, and they were saying about how it was it's an inland. So in Australia they have made albino inlands. I wonder, I probably have a picture of one. They're beautiful, probably not as nice as the albino Bredli in my opinion, but still beautiful, but he got hets, right? He bought a group with, I think he might have bought the group with maybe Billy Hunt, like a joint pairing or something. But
Nice. They were cool looking.
yeah, man. I mean, yeah, like
That
I
is
said,
what I can say.
just look at it from afar. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that's what's your? I know what you think, Lucas.
Of albino inlands?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no good.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's not. Well, give me a sec, Riley. You answer. I need to formulate.
You want me to show you want me to show the picture first?
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
go for it. It's. I mean, it's pretty, but it's not something I would necessarily aim to make, nor aim to purchase.
Oh yeah, that's right. It did.
It's really pretty. I'm not gonna lie, Eric. You know what? I'm gonna say something. You know what it kind of looks like?
Popcorn.
A citrus
Albino
tiger.
citrus tiger.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, kind of does. Kind of has that color palette.
It is interesting to me the way
This is crazy.
yeah, the coloration on the front half in between the yellow splotches is like white on the front and then red on the back.
I suspect that's the Darwin influence, because Darwins do that. They are the hets are very dark in the front and they fade to more of a lighter caramel brown in the back. And when you get the albinos, you get very, very bright white in the front and the color starts showing up better in the back. So even though that's got inland in it, to me, that transition where the front has that white speckling that transitions to red makes perfect sense for the Darwin influence in there.
Yes, Dave, they are Spilota currently they are Spilota McAfee.
For now.
Yeah,
for now.
So I guess that I have formulated my thought.
Okay.
I think it's more okay, in my opinion, than albino Brettles, because Brettles are a separate species.
What happens when the book comes, or if the book comes out and that changes? And
that's what gave me pause. I had to think about that, and then I'd have to reassess.
Yeah. So like I'm with you there. That you and I share the same line in the sand.
Yeah.
As far
hybrids.
Yeah. Those dang hybrids.
Gosh, digging the dang hybrids.
I really think I really think the draw to like these crazy color morphs is, at least this is in my brain, is that when you have an animal that is in a basic cage, you need something to spice it up, right? So you get a crazy color, crazy pattern, whatever the case would be. You're kind of like, wow, look at that, and that becomes the art of the cage. Whereas like if you have a more naturalistic setup, you probably don't need that as much. And I think this is where those two groups sort of separate, right? Because they can't get on the same wavelength, because somebody that's keeping a naturalistic enclosure and like, all the bells and whistles and everything, the whole thing is like sort of a piece of art, if you will, and the animal is just the accent to the art, it's kind of like a fish tank, right? Sure. Whereas like, if you're just keeping the snake and, you're just, you give it a perch and a water bowl and it's on paper or whatever,
I agree.
I think
at some point if you're like going all out on a really nice naturalistic enclosure, like, some of those really crazy, like zoo level things that we see, I think if you put like a weird albino in it,
it almost looks strange, right?
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like you almost did nature, but you did this.
You almost did nature.
I don't know.
It's true though, right? I mean, like if you went to a zoo,
it depends on the morph though. Like some are more out there than others.
Yeah, but if you saw like, I don't know, think of like the craziest ball python morph and you went to a zoo and you saw that in there, you would be like, oh, that's, at least in my brain, I would be like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So, see a bumblebee. That's not even crazy, but you see like a bumblebee just climbing around in this zoo enclosure, just
corkscrewing upside down.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a weird topic, but I think what really kind of changed my mind on this was that Reptile Fight Club, where they were talking about, how we talk about a mutt carpet python like it's a negative thing, and like, I think I sort of mentioned this last night. I think like a lot of times carpet python people, Morelia people, kind of miss the mark and like having people have pets, right? Like, do they really care that it's, this M pen, I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. Or that they just want a cool snake.
Most people who are looking for a pet just want something that looks cool that won't bite them.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Riley, you deal with it all the time. Well, both you guys do now.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have more of a hand on that pulse than anybody that I know. But
yeah, most people don't care. If it's pretty, they're like, ooh, I like that.
Right. You could put something in front of them and be like, this is a pure like F2 West Papuan, yada yada. You could have all these facts, but then if it bites them, they're like, what about that one over there that's corkscrewing but won't bite me? It's like the priorities are different.
Yeah. Most people just want something that's pretty. The problem is then they get one, and then like 2 weeks later they come back and they're like, I want a second one to try and breed it. And I'm like, oh no. Stop.
You just told my origin story.
Yeah.
That was me.
That's like a lot of people. That's how a lot, because that's what a lot of is out there in the content. And Eric, I think you've spoken about this extensively about how the community sort of makes it a thing where like you're not legit unless you're breeding. Like that's kind of the way the hobby is sort of rolled up right now, is like the focus is more on legitimizing yourself as a breeder as opposed to just legitimizing yourself in keeping well. And although we're seeing a shift towards more natural keeping and appreciation of that, people still in a big way think that they need to breed.
Yeah. I think, I do believe that, but I think too, like, I think for some people it's like a natural progression of behavior, like it's like I've seen all this behavior. I don't know. When I was a kid, it just seemed like it was impossible, right? But back then, people really didn't breed, so it was just like something that was just out of reach. Only people with, zoo backgrounds, or you know what I mean, like only people that had that ability and knew the animals like that and the needs and all these requirements and stuff, and it made it seem impossible, even though it's not, but and then once it became different, I think, and people could see it's sort of like, I don't know. It kind of shifted to where you had like just a bunch of, and I get, so there's like three groups in my mind of herp people, right? You got the people that keep in naturalistic enclosures and, a minimal collection, going bells and whistles as best as they can and trying to always make their care and keeping, watching natural behaviors, fascinated by the animal, all that kind of stuff. But and then there's somebody that sort of does like I wouldn't even call it naturalistic enclosures. Let's just say they provide enrichment, right? That's the kind of like, I got the Barbie dream house in the middle of the cage, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's a little hammock up in here. Like, yeah, 100%. They'll use that stuff, but it's not, that's the pet keeper.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the total geek out person, which is probably where we are. And I think we talk about breeding because it's like this behavior that, I think people are kind of interested in and fascinated by. And we sort of push it without necessarily, meaning to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we kind of forget about the other parts of it and stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's tricky because I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, right? Because
it's hard with this. Yeah.
Trying to start a bunch of breeding projects and yada yada yada. But I guess the asterisk there is that I acknowledge that I don't have to. You know, like you guys wouldn't think of me any differently if I just kept my snakes and never reproduced them. You know, it's like that's the asterisk. It's okay. But
I mean, I didn't breed anything this year. Do you guys think that I'm not? You know what I mean? That you be like,
you don't even
Burke
know snakes.
He's going downhill, man. He's old man. You know,
past his prime.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like to take a season off every once in a while. The diamond pythons didn't go. Oh, by the way, didn't get nothing out of them. But
next season you'll get 48 clutches.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you have not to switch gears, but do you have any thoughts on why they maybe didn't do it, or just one of those things?
You know, I think my thought is that I think the key with diamond pythons is no radiant heat panels.
Mm-hmm.
Basking bulbs. I think like that whole, at least here, because it offers the gradient that I need. You know, I think that with those radiant heat panels, I think it just gets too warm for them, if that makes sense. And I don't notice the same behaviors. I don't know. So that girl that I was breeding, she's on a breeding loan. The guy lives in Jersey, so it's not like that. It's that far or anything. So, but I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I saw locks. I saw all those things. Maybe I think it could be timing. That's another thing I think about, you know, because it's so weird with what I'm used to breeding carpet wise. It's just sort of like, purposely negligent, I guess, if that's the way to say it, you know, like kind of ignored them, so to speak. And maybe I ignored them too much, you know, I don't know. But she did all the signs. It just didn't go the distance. So I don't know. I wonder too, I know diamond pythons are notoriously known for building nests. I wonder if that had anything that came into play. You know, I think really them and king cobras are really the only snakes I can think of that, unless you guys have, what else builds nests?
Well, what are we defining as building a nest?
King cobra style nest, like gathering
materials.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I can't.
Nothing comes to mind.
You know,
for me
I'm sure there is somebody's going to be like, you know, some odd species in Indonesia or something.
Take advantage of conditions that are nest-like, but they're not building it, right? Like, the hollow in the tree, like with the nice soft bottom, you know, that makes a pretty good nest.
Or the tortoise dug burrow.
Right, but they didn't make it themselves.
Right. Yeah. But I'm excited for my first breeding season, but after building my naturalistic enclosure, I'm more excited seeing my animals behave naturally as possible. Yeah.
One of my favorite things that I did in the last couple weeks, I sent you guys some pictures on one of my work sites. There's a bunch of blue gum eucalyptus, and a lot of it came down, and I snatched a couple branches that looked good, and I put the way that I treated it, and nobody quote me on this as being the best way, but I put it in black trash bags, tied it closed, and left it out in the sun for like a couple weeks. And that was good enough for me. And now I have eucalyptus in my 6-foot blackhead enclosure, and it looks freaking awesome.
Nice. Yeah, there was like a shortage on that or something. I tried to order some of that from out west. There was a guy in the West Coast that grew it, and
it's all over the place, man. I'll mail you some. There's blue and red gum all over.
$50 for it. He's like, nah, we're all out. I'm like, you're saying you're just cutting it down like all over the place.
Oh, it's all over
dude,
the
it's
floor.
everywhere in California.
I'm talking
Really?
entire
Yeah.
forests. Like,
Yeah, it's all over the park behind me too.
yeah.
Oh, shit. Wow. That's
Yeah,
I would
crazy.
be happy to
trees
mail
are
you a
falling
box.
over left and
All
right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it's one of those things, right? If you Google it, you know, all the keyboard experts on the forums are like, oh, toxic fumes, no eucalyptus. But, you know, like, okay, you'd be seeing a lot of dead snakes in nature if that were true. So don't
Yeah.
carpet bomb the cage with it, maybe. But, you know, a few's not going to kill your snake.
Yeah. We used to, in Santa Barbara at the zoo, for any sort of wood or branches or things that I wanted to put in enclosures, I just take them out behind this building, spray them down with a very, very dilute bleach solution, bleach and water, just super dilute, and like instantly rinse it off basically,
Yeah.
and just rinse the snot out of whatever it was, and then leave it out in the sun to completely dry and call it good, and never had issues.
For sure. Yeah.
Because you can't disinfect something that's organic. Like, that is physically impossible.
Yeah.
The definition of disinfection and organic materials, that doesn't work, basically. Like,
Yeah.
it's porous material from the earth. It's not a disinfectable surface, essentially. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, parrots live with you. Yeah. I remember that was one of my favorite things about being in Queensland, was walking into a forest that was filled with it, and it was like having Vicks vapor rub just spread all over your body. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, my asthma's gone. I can breathe.
You can do that in the East Bay Hills.
It's much more fun to do it in Australia, but yeah.
I know what you mean, though. It's like it's that smell. It's
Yeah.
one of a
that's pretty
kind.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's all over the Bay Area. Both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
Graham's saying you're speaking the truth about something, Riley. I don't
Good
know
job,
what-
Riley.
Yeah.
I only speak the truth. I don't
Um,
know what truth, but
Your truth.
we'll go with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Graham, man, he's like he's gonna be a force to reckon with over here in the States pretty soon, you know? I mean, this
Oh,
guy's
yeah.
going high end, man.
He's
He's
tycoon.
he's doing the deal.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
I guess I can finally talk about it, but yeah, I finally declined that offer, and like I'm no longer being recruited by the Dallas Zoo.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard back from them, which is funny because like I emailed them. I was like, appreciate the offer, but timing just isn't right, and just silence from them. Like, ooh, I think they're upset.
Yeah. A little
It is
more
what
to
it
the
is.
story than what you originally thought. Yeah.
Yeah, there always is. It always looks good on paper, and then you find out the truth about what's going on and why there's vacancies, and
Yeah, man.
you know,
Yeah.
I
100%.
don't know. I'm good where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you seem to be happy that doing the, except when you get those crazy customers. But dude,
Yeah.
wait, I got to tell you this. Yeah, I always have a crazy supermarket story, right? So it's 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Business is going. People are shopping, and then all of a sudden, this guy walks in. No shirt, no shoes. Right? He has a weed whacker in his hand, like one of them big industrial weed whackers, and he's like comes charging in the store, and I'm like, what is this guy gonna do? Is he gonna try to attack somebody with a weed whacker? What's going on here? He runs to the meat department, goes into the meat department, and then runs through the back door into the back room. And he goes and tries to find the back dock, drops the weed whacker, and runs out the back door. I'm like, what the hell was this? Dude, people are crazy in this area.
Crackheads, man.
Literally.
I wonder.
That's nuts.
If you ever
Yeah.
saw, what's that? I don't know. There was some documentary about Kensington in Philadelphia. And
Oh,
literally,
boy.
that's not too far from where I
Yeah.
work. So when you see
Yeah.
that, you get a feel for what's going on in my day-to-day life.
Just
I
wanted to
believe it.
make sure that all the weeds were taken care of in your facility.
Yeah. He ran out without shoes and shirt. He was that concerned about the weeds that needed whacking.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know where the weed. He's like, I gotta ditch this. I gotta run pretty quick, you know. Like, I don't know why all of a sudden he's just
that's hilarious.
Gave up the weed whacker. Yeah.
I get some crazy folks that come into the shop because we're like on the other side of the tracks near 99, and like crazy homeless people near the hood. Like, I get calls like dudes beating people in the street, like down, like just a few residences down, and like I have people that walk in the store and they're just like mumbling incoherently, like, look at the lizard. He's just like, and the guy's like, oh, he's looking for a job, and I'm like, what? What is wrong with you people?
Oh
yeah,
man,
it's like, oh man, yeah, I got some crazy folks that come in like mumbling, smelling like, you know, the last week rolled over them. It's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. At least you don't have to like explain to people how to care for the bread, milk, and eggs when they leave. And at least they don't call you later
from 7-Eleven.
Put these in the refrigerator and now they're all dead.
I don't understand why this meat went bad. I've just been shopping in the 90-degree weather for the last 10 hours. I've had it in my car. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I will say though, Riley handles the crazy elegantly. Now I've been witness to a few interesting events. He goes above and beyond. One time he even drove to a 7-Eleven to help a family that had like just lost their new pet in the car, you know, like I wouldn't have done that. I would have been like, well, you lost your pet in the car.
Yeah. The kid's aunt had just bought him a full setup for this baby Argentine Tegu, and they were like, they listened to every word the aunt listened to every word I said. And they bought everything, thermostats, like they were going to do it right. You know, I set them up for success and they were all about it. And the kid was just like, he was so enthralled by looking at the lizard in his hands that he didn't listen to the main thing that I said, which was don't handle it for the first few days, leave it in the container in the car ride till you get it home, get the enclosure set up, put it in, leave it alone.
Yep.
Soon as he got in the car, he thought it would be calm. He could take it out, handle it. No.
Didn't work out.
And he also missed the part where I was showing him how to handle a moving lizard and not restrain it and tell him not to grab it by the tail and stuff. Yeah, he grabbed it by the tail and broke it off twice. The section that I found was clearly the second drop. So he must have grabbed the tip and then the rest of it, because the part that they saved in the cup holder was like a third of it. And I found the lizard under the gas pedal in the front driver's side, like, you know, in front of the plastic panel. And they're a little freaked out, but they learned a really hard lesson as soon as they left the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, don't worry, you know, keep feeding it and give it rodents and stuff pretty regularly, and it'll grow its tail back in 6 months to a year. You won't even notice. And yeah, they love it. They called me the next day. It's already eating and everything. But yeah, I literally, like, they called the shop freaking out, crying, asking for me, told me where they were at, and I drove over and
I answered the phone. She was in a state of like, I thought she was going to tell me that the kid died or something, like, with her reaction on the phone.
Yeah, she was freaking out. She was so traumatized. I felt so bad for her because like they were all just concerned for the lizard, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be a great family for the lizard. But my point there was that Riley is very good at his job, and I'm shouting him out.
Very nice. Very good.
It's stressful, man. It's I really look forward to coming home and getting to take care of these animals and not have to answer to anyone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I think of rainbows now?
Sometimes after it rains, when there's sunlight.
I still have plenty. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have 2.4. I'll be breeding hopefully these two females this coming season. So I've had them for long enough where I don't know, there's not a whole lot left that I want to accomplish with them. but I just like, I don't know, I just really like them and can't get rid of them. And I will say for anybody listening, they are like really not good first pet snakes. So many people come to me and they're like, I want a rainbow as a first pet snake. And part of me wants to tell them, no, you don't.
Yeah.
They really do like to bite. And they're very shy. So that being said, they sell like crazy.
They're beautiful, right?
They're
You know?
very
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah, they're fun, man. Like the pair that I held back. This hard grew 3 Labradors that day. If only that were possible, that would be cool. I'd be giving back left and right.
Thank you for that reaction, Eric.
Yeah, that was good.
Add it to my best hits list.
That's right. Score 1 for intern 2.
Yep.
I will
Hold
make
on.
sure Owen is knows.
Intern what?
Well, you. I didn't tell you. Your name is number 2.
Number 2.
Foiled again.
I just go by seniority.
I can respect that as long as it's not about facial hair.
Yeah. No.
Got you all beat there.
Yeah. Oh man.
I got
Sorry.
a nice beard. I got a beard grooming kit for my
Did you?
birthday. Yeah, with like oils and balms and combs and brushes and all this good stuff. And dude, my beard has never been softer and more tame, beautiful.
So over the when we were away in Texas, I grew it in. Obviously, it's nothing like yours, Riley. You know.
Well,
but,
I've been doing this for a long time and
Right.
then cutting it back in a long time. I haven't gone baby face ever
So
because I don't need to professionally.
I think you come to this point in life, right, where you get to a certain age where you look better with it, like than you do without it.
Sure,
You know what I
sure.
mean? It's like my wife's like, "Oh, that's like salt and pepper." Oh, yeah. I was like, "Okay, I know what I'm doing on this next vacation. Gonna grow it in and let it go."
Yeah, man.
Join the beard club. Sorry,
It's fun.
Lucas.
It's okay. You're George Clooney years.
Yes, exactly. Salt
I mean,
and pepper.
no reason for me to feel bad about it. It's literally not an option.
Maybe one day you'll be able to get like the Miyagi, like
the Fu Manchu.
yeah.
Well, just think of all the money I save on razors and shaving cream.
This is true.
That's my
That's more
approach to
Womas.
having no hair.
It is more womas.
Yes, more womas.
And,
I love those damn snakes, by the way.
yeah, right.
I waited
Super
too long to
underrated.
get. I waited way too long to finally get some.
I'm so glad that you got a pair. Good, Riley.
So I was packing up some of the ones
Wait.
that we shipped out the other day.
You didn't have Romas? Really? Wow, I didn't know that.
I fell
For
in
some
love
reason,
with.
I thought you had a.
No,
a
actually,
pair
I
of
fell in love with Womas back in my Santa Barbara Zoo days because I raised one up
Ah.
and made it an education snake there, and he became like my favorite animal.
them. Yeah.
Him, the giant Madagascar giant hognose. You see
Oh,
where
boy.
these trends got me? Yeah. Those were my two favorites, and I think just because I had him for so long, I was spoiled. And then I've been, pretty focused on the carpets as far as Australian stuff goes. And I just lived vicariously through everyone else and kind of put the blinders on, and then being around them at the shop and getting that one female for Mike in, and just, seeing them breed and getting the eggs and hatching. Now I'm like, I'm all in.
Seeing them try to eat the hook.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the babies that we shipped out to a customer, Lucas, its belly was the cleanest, most electric bright orange I'd ever seen. I pulled it out and was like, oh gosh, I think I picked wrong.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of good orange bellies in that clutch.
Oh.
The female that I chose, I selected specifically for that, for my super orange male that I would pull out right now, but I would get bit guaranteed.
Yeah. So, the problem is now that I've had this thought, this discovery, this eyesight, is that I need more.
Yeah.
It's not good.
That's
Not
exactly right.
No,
I mean,
stop.
blackheads and
Stop.
womas.
Stop.
Yeah, we
I
were.
would like
the
to
room for
believe
this.
that my constant Aspidites obsession didn't help you avoid the Woma.
Oh man. Well, what's going to happen is eventually Rachel and I'll buy a house, and then I will either end up being able to convert the garage or have like double the space, and then we'll have the CNC machine running by this August. We've already got 100 sheets of plastic in, so
excited.
Be able to just be like, "Oh, Grant, can you cut me a 6-footer? I need a 6-footer next week."
Yeah, no problem.
Oh wait, he bought a CNC machine for the store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
yeah. So he's been working on this for a long time. He bought it in January.
yes,
He ordered it a long time ago. It's supposed to be here now, but it got a little delayed. And then he preemptively bought 100 sheets of PVC. So we're gonna cut a bunch of cages and sell them locally for the shop. Just kind of supply the local market.
I will be first in line for like 4 more 6-footers. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll finally be able to start hitting the next phase of my conversion. First thing is need to get into more space, but yeah, ideally I'd like to put all adults, everything 3 years and up, 4 years and up into, glass front enclosures, and then just raise babies up in racks and not really have as much quantity and shift more towards quality over time.
Yeah.
And then do more of the nice displays. Like, it would be a crime for me to not, properly showcase the Apodora, properly highlight the Cribos, properly do stuff, so I'm gonna try to ship one day. No, Ryan, we are actually never going to ship. We have no reason for us to ship. There's such a huge demand locally that it would just be such a headache for us.
Yeah, why would you even want to get involved?
No, we don't. We don't want to. We want none of that. FedEx is a nightmare right now. FedEx is a disaster. I'm sorry, Ryan. I know you work for them.
Cox.
Yeah. FedEx is at it. FedEx is at an all-time low.
Get your house in order, bro.
All I know is that like a lot of these major like wholesalers and shipping companies have ditched their FedEx contracts, and now I've got USPS and UPS bringing the animal shipments, and I'm like, oh, this is still new to me.
Oh boy,
really?
What?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Is it lack of? I guess it's just same thing that's going on everywhere in the U.S. Just lack of help.
Yeah, I think that demand just far exceeds the supply as far as how many packages are going out and how many couriers exist.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could do it right now. I don't think if FedEx, UPS, and the USPS all joined forces, they'd be able to like smoothly take over the volume that's coming through it right now. Yeah. I just think there's too many people that have spent the last year and a half sitting at home ordering everything online to come to them, that now we've really taken this convenience culture to a completely exponentially huge level where literally everything has to go through some sort of shipping system. And I'm even talking on like a macro level, like just from the grocery store to me, or the Target to me, or food to, like everything. So
damn you, Bezos.
I just don't think there's enough manpower quite in the right place yet for shipping internationally or domestically to be as smooth as it could be. But I digress.
Yeah, we even have the problem with even just food getting to the store. Just it's crazy, man. It's
yeah, and part of it is out of everybody's control. I mean, I don't think any of us could sit here and say COVID didn't play a role in, the hiccups and the hangups and a lot of the international distribution of supplies, resources, goods exchange, etc. So there's a lot of it that's out of everyone's hands.
I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but I think like one of the positives about COVID, right, at least for the hobby, is I think that it got more people into the hobby, being at home and being on the computer, and
100%.
I think it was a huge push. I think I've seen a huge spike in podcasts, right? Just podcasts in general. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think I got to give it to the younger generation, because they're like, whereas my generation's like, I got to get a job, so I'm going to go and sludge to work every day, and I hate doing this, and this isn't what I want to do, and da 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 da. And I think one of the things that has happened is like people were forced to be out of work and they're like, well, screw that. I'm not going back to that shithole. You know what I mean? And they're like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Like I can now stay. They were afforded the opportunity to sort of create their own fate, if you will, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, I think it's going to be a shift in at least in the US, you know, because, you know, like my company would never pay money. And now it's like, they don't have a choice. You know what I mean? Yep. So now they're like, oh yeah, give them $17 an hour. And they're like, you know, it's crazy, you know, sign on bonus and this and that. Like I got 2 days off now a week.
Right.
I haven't had 2 days off a week in 27 years. Damn. I've worked 6 days a week for 27 years. And like we had this point where if we wanted to have 2 days off, we were going to have to take a pay cut. Well, we don't want to take a pay cut, you know? And then he's just like, okay, well, you can have 2 days off. Like what? Wait, what? we don't lose anything. Well, we don't want to lose you. So take 2 days off, you know? It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So
everybody, labor is important now. It's an interesting world to live in. I mean, I studied a lot of this stuff in college. I got my bachelor's in global and international studies, and just kind of how everything is so interwoven and interconnected, and how you pull strings this way and it has effects everywhere.
Yeah.
And COVID really just accelerated some of the process quite a bit in a short window. And it's really interesting for me to see it, because I'm like remembering all of these like discussions and lectures and things. I'm like, funny how everybody thought my degree was kind of just this silly, like, oh, that's not important. Like, what are you even studying? And now like the global effects of a viral outbreak are in everybody's face, and everyone realizes it all. I'm like, that's it makes sense. You know, now we all see it as a very in your face sort of thing. And I don't know, it's just crazy. They should just open up all the borders anyway and let us get Australian reptiles finally.
Yeah. It's a weird thing, happen. Man. You think so?
Yeah.
You have faith that it will?
Oh, I've always had faith. I think I have even more faith now because of COVID.
I had faith for a long time, but like everybody poo-poos me and like, oh, you're so naive, man. That's not going to happen. And I'm just I just don't understand why it doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't do it. And I think to a certain extent, it's kind of like sometimes you got to take a look at it and say like, okay, so you'd rather me run the animal over on the road, right, than touch it. And it's like, I think it's just like, no, you can't have it because we don't want you to have it.
Yeah. It feels very much like a pride thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they can justifiably say like, we want to protect our wildlife, and that's fair. That's good. You know,
I understand totally. Not letting things in. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Absolutely. 100%.
But
captive bred stuff going out.
Yeah. I mean, there's ample evidence of exactly what Lucas was just saying. Captive bred stuff from other places being exported to the benefit of the country of origin.
I wonder if it's just that the Australian reptile hobby is sort of in, and just I could be wrong with this, but it seems like it's like in its infancy as far as like if you compare it to say the US or Europe, right? Am I wrong in thinking that way?
I don't know.
Like I know that people have always kept reptiles. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying from a commercial point of view.
I think the market is younger there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So maybe like as that develops more, maybe then that will be an outlet for, because I would imagine with a country that, you know, let's face it, they don't have the population that we do, so they would never be able to do it on a scale like that. And if they wanted to, I would think that would be the option. And I think it's better than poaching this shit or, you know,
it's just funny that they like where they draw the line about what's okay, you know, leaving the country, because they'll absolutely let the marine fisheries and corals and everything, birds, all that stuff, all their native marine life and bird life, you know, leave the country legally under, permit and export system. I mean, I don't get why the reptiles are so different.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get why they're saying there are animals, and I mean, they're very unique animals from that place, and
Totally.
I would totally cherish the wild. I mean, they're gonna. It's sad to say, it's gonna happen anyway, right? I mean,
yeah. Why be the sole reason a black market exists, and at the cost of an animal's life or many animals' lives, when it has to be done illegally, when you could do it legally with proper funding and structure and protocol behind it, and protect the animals in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been tried and true across the world that if you put value on the preservation of a species and create a captive market alongside of it that is regulated, and you manage the number of animals that leave and how it's done, that it brings a lot of funding back into that system that then was created to protect the native wildlife in the first place.
Yeah. Hey,
like what the United States does with hunting permits and things.
how about this? How about for every dollar spent on an exported captive bred Australian snake, the Australian government kicks in an extra 50 cents on the dollar that goes to a conservation effort for that species. Boom.
Yeah.
Done.
I mean, you could really come up with something that simple. Yeah, you really could. Or it could just be a simple tax for every animal purchased from an international buyer. There's a small fee, like it could just be
Wildlife
$5, a wildlife
I would pay
fee.
a large fee. You know what I mean?
Well, but think about it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have to make it an insurmountable fee that would alienate people who are just trying to chip.
Sure.
Think about the common person. Like, think about, there's 10 people in a herp club somewhere in Europe, and they're like, hey, let's all get together on a permit. Let's get a crate in, and then everybody, splits the total fee, and maybe they regulate it per weight or per box or per animal, and it's varies species to species, but they could essentially make it so that it's only a couple bucks in certain circumstances, so that everybody can come in, and think about how much that's going to add up. Think about like a food vendor that's going to a spot. They want to make some money. They could charge $15 and $20 for plates or something, and people be like, I don't want to spend $15, $20, and they might get 10 buyers. But if they charge like $10, $12, $13, they might not get as much per plate, but they'll get 40 buyers. Yeah. So it adds up. I think there's a lot of money to be made. It could be done in a very well regulated way that protects the native wildlife, discourages the illegal trade as much as possible, and then has stipulations to the money going back towards conservation and wildlife protection.
I would bet that you would see, again, I'm just speaking Australian reptiles, right? But I think that if they legalize exportation and they made, whatever the fee, you paid the fee, blah, 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 I would think that smuggling would disappear.
Yeah, more or less.
I know, because even if you wanted, say you wanted an unrelated jungle carpet or something, and
Pilbara locality blackhead.
Yeah, or that, or an Owen Pelly python, whatever the case would be. You even if you can't be one of the people that import it, if it imports into the US, and that's the other thing. It's not like each year there's going to be a new rush for importation. You know what I mean? Like eventually it's going to start to
there has to be a limit.
Yeah. But I think eventually over time it would start to level out. You're not going to keep, it's not like the ball python trade where you're just going to keep importing, 10,000, ball pythons every year. Yeah. Do they even still do that? Is that even a thing still?
I mean,
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's done differently now. There's like a whole like eco-tourist side of things to it there, and those guys over there make their living off of selling the babies internationally. So if it's not coming to the US, it's still going everywhere else. So
yeah, and that's the other thing that I think people sometimes forget. It's all about perspective, right? And Daniel and the two shits on this. like every time he's on a podcast or in front of people or whatever, that I've heard him talk about just the reality that, you know, if they're going to get $200 for a Boelen's python in Papua New Guinea, you know, that's like hitting the lotto. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
for people that, you know, don't really have a job or an income or anything like that, where they're going to go and do that. And I think, you know, you would think that they would do it responsibly so that resource continues to, you know, to be a resource, I guess.
what would absolutely need to happen there would have to be an intermediary sort of third party that would facilitate kind of a neutral running of it all, like an NGO, like a non-governmental organization that would be started by somebody who's helping getting it off the ground, but ultimately run by locals there. You know, you get them invested in the project, you know, give them reason to want to participate, make it worth their while financially and livelihood wise, and teach them how to do it, and for a few years get it up and running. And then by the time, you know, you let them go on their own, they're running it themselves. They've created an industry that sustains them, and then it's responsible, it's organized, it's regulated.
Right.
I mean,
it's kind of like, you know, I think the thing I love about West Texas and Herpin in West Texas is it seems like that whole area in, you know, like working the cuts and the Big Bend and all that area is sort of like the economy seems to sort of like, you know, be centered around snake, you know, herpers, you know, people out herping looking for snakes, you know, because you're going there, going to the gas stations, you're getting gas, you're renting cars, you're going and eating in the restaurants, you know, you're staying in hotels, and like they're very accepting of the fact that, you know, we're there to look for snakes. Whereas like in Pennsylvania, you know, they'd be like, well, you're doing what? You know, you know, but they're like, guys with the vests on must be looking for snakes. Find anything, you know, even where the cop is pulling over and talking to us about, you know, about snakes. It's just, you know, Border Patrol. Hey, find anything tonight? You know, it's just like, okay.
That's cool.
It's just interesting, you know, and they know that we're there and just, you know, excited to take the picture, you know.
It's ecotourism at its finest. If you tap into it, there's a way it can be done responsibly, ethically, and encourages a respect of the environment, and it benefits everybody because, like you said, you're not the only ones going out there doing that and spending money and buying gas and staying in hotels and eating in restaurants. It's a lot of people coming and doing that throughout the year. So it's the same thing with like Costa Rica and other places that, you know, rely on a little bit of outside tourism to bring some money in and stimulate their economy. I
wonder if the Everglades or anything like that has that. I mean, I know
all the outposts and the small little zoos and facilities that take you out on fan boat rides and
that's
all that good stuff. Dude, that's so much fun when they take you out on a fan boat and they rip around at 360 and you're just like floating. You're like, woo!
It's good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Especially when then they stop and they're like, okay, there's a spectacled caiman, not supposed to be there. You drive around, there's a gator, supposed to be there. Drive around, there's another caiman, not supposed to be there. And you're like, this is awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good time. But yeah, I mean, anywhere that has nature that needs regulation, there are opportunities for employment and financial benefit that can be funneled into the protection of that wildlife for sure.
Yeah.
And exploitation can be done the same way.
Yeah. So I thought we would talk about a carpet python that was found in Broome.
Broome. Lucas is over here thinking of like revving up a car.
I was trying to do bullfrog. Broome.
Oh, okay.
So
that's a good one.
Thank you.
It's a Darwin carpet.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks Darwin-esque. It's got a smudged head stamp.
But doesn't the head look weird?
It's very long.
Yeah, right.
Pretty narrow, huh?
Right. Very cool.
There's that blank sort of skull look.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That's where they're from right there.
Yeah.
That's
has a lot of those colors, the same color palette that we see.
if you saw this snake in captivity, would you think it was ill cared for?
Oh.
I would think it probably hasn't been eating too often. I mean, it looks lean, but the scale condition looks rather healthy. It doesn't look like waxy and cracked and beat up and snout rubbed. I mean, his face looks clean. His eyes, I would just say, it's probably a lean male.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Look at those scales on the face, though, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I think that's my favorite thing about carpets is that they have like the white, it's almost like the white lip, but they have those like, big, huge lips, labial scales, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's why I've always loved raising up jungle carpets, is because they always have the yellow and the white accentuating that right there along the way. And it's just,
100%.
Pretty badass.
Very cool.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, Darwin.
Look, Darwin's. The love-hate relationship with these snakes.
Yeah, the damn snakes won't breed.
Yeah,
but I can't get rid of them.
Yeah, they're just too cool, man.
I think I'm gonna continue to neglect my female for a little while. She has not been fed in like 6 weeks, and I think I'm gonna like not feed her for another at least 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, and just give her the entire summer off, because like I said earlier, I think I overfed her in the earlier years and got her too big too soon, and she does not act hungry at all. So I'm just gonna like ignore her for the summer, and then fall bring it back up, see if that gives me different results.
Yeah. Does I'm curious, you probably talked to him about it, but does Todd have any difficulty with Darwin's out there on the West Coast?
No, all the years that I would ask him about it, he would just look at me like I was crazy. He's like, if you can do coastals, popwins, and jungles, you should be doing Darwins. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Huh.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I've experimented with a couple things. I've experimented with running those two animals slightly warmer. I've experimented with running them a little bit cooler. My male is... he's 6 years old this year. My female's 5, so that's, they're not young, but they're not old either. So I don't know. They have had to deal with me moving up here 3 years ago, which is kind of like in their early adult years when they're like 2 and 3. So, maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. I feel like this was supposed to be the year where I would have gotten them figured out, because if there's nothing special to them and they're more winter breeders, like like the rest of that group, then I don't know. I thought I would have figured it out by now. I don't seem to have too much trouble with jungles, popwins, or coastals anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be doing that. I'll be doing pure Darwin's next season. So hopefully
we can commiserate together.
Yeah. I'm curious to see. I don't know. I don't know how it'll go. I'm curious,
Yeah. They need to justify their existence here is the problem. Because, I mean...
space is at a all-time low.
Yep. That is true.
Yeah.
I probably could do with a reorganization and a few things, and I've been thinking about like what animals need to upgrade and how, and then what that means. And I need another V70 rack. I need another stack of cages, and the list goes on and on. I have too many snakes. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally relate.
Yeah.
100%.
It happens. It is what it is.
I'll tell you what, man. I got that. I know you were talking about it, but like Vin Russo's red line of children's pythons.
Oh yeah.
That one I got to go with the one I got from you.
Yeah. How's it look?
Oh, dude, they're looking sharp. I guess I got to start taking pictures of snakes again, man. I haven't taken a picture. I haven't taken a picture of a snake in a long time.
I know you used to have them on the regular.
Yeah.
I want to see what that Woma you got from Keith is looking like these days.
Oh man,
it's been a while.
That thing is nice.
Yeah, I need to get something from Keith down the line too.
Yeah. Keith is he's my Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So he produced some Womas?
Oh yeah. His is Miller Lines stuff. But this one that hatched out was it's just phenomenal, and see, that's the good. I think this is where I get it from, man. He's had such an influence on me, and when you hang out with him and you get to talk with him, and he starts he's got this zone where he I don't know how to explain it. He just he can understand the animals in a different way. I think because he worked with so many different animals, he just has this brain that's he's like, oh well, he I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I think how when you see what was it, Good Will Hunting, where he sees his brain and it's like this math problem and it just goes doodle, and it's all happening in front. Yeah, that's how I think his brain works when it comes to reptiles. But he just got a pair of Mexican indigos.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, Rubidus are beautiful, man.
Oh man, woo!
Badass.
Yeah. So
the
pretty.
Entire Drymarchon genus is just unbelievable. You want to talk about big, impressive, addicting, just switched on colubrids. That entire genus is 6 species that everybody should have. There's 6 of them, and if you're one of those people like me that needs to collect them all, you're just ooh, that's man. Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah, they need a lot of space though, right?
Yeah, my male's in a 6-foot cage and he just laps around it.
Yeah. I thought about putting one out in the other room because it kind of gets colder in there, but I don't know.
They would do well, man. I don't put any heat on mine. They're just ambient.
I got to get to the point where I think for me, I have to get to the point where I've gotten rid of everything that I don't I you know what I mean? I got to get to net zero and then maybe I'll add something like that.
Yeah.
I can't, I got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm sending to Billy, stuff to you guys, I don't know. I haven't been motivated to ship. I don't know what it is. I'm it would be Wednesday and I'm oh shit, that's another week that went by that I didn't ship. Damn it.
Well, it's warm. So
yeah.
So it's warm.
I will have places for them in a short period of time.
Dude, wait till you guys see these IJs I'm going to send you. You lose your shit. Oh my God. The banded one. Oh man. You're going to be
when did you produce
hot
those?
Rainbow what?
Owen's got to clear some animals out of quarantine and take these hognose soon.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, my flame for those hognose went out.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you can recognize that. Instead of just
love the species. I'll never not love the species, and there's no telling if I'll, if I'm done with them for good, But they have become such a chore for me lately. I think they do best communally, but with me having so many snakes and them being in a second from the top cage, and I think they would even do better in a 6-foot cage with just because I have so many other snakes. I don't have the time to really keep up with them these days. And they're not my priority and they hate me. And after that one female bit me a few times too. And my hand was itchy for a few days after, and just kind of, I was just you guys are I don't know. I'm not going to miss them. You know what I mean? And because Owen is so infatuated with them, and he's about to have eggs hatch from his any day now, and he's got the entire group now because I sort of got obsessed. I think they'll be better off with him, and I'd love to see them, do well there. And then I'd love to see that cage with an Apodora in it that doesn't glass like my freaking hognose do.
Yeah. How are the ones from Rob doing? Good?
I love them. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
They are the most behaviorally unique animals in this building, for sure. I will never, ever live without Apodora again, ever, as long as I can help it. They're truly the greatest big snake for me. I don't, to me, it's like you can't compare carpet pythons and Apodora because that's like lightweights and heavyweights, you know, in fighting. They're just different classes.
Yeah.
And you know, there's some lines that once you cross, you can't ever go back on. And one is keeping carpets. Once you go carpets, you're screwed. And then
blackheads.
Yeah. Same with Asphodite. And then Apodora, man, like, to me, having this pair come in from Rob was such a huge step forward in my understanding of the species just within the first like couple weeks that they were here, which it's only been a couple weeks now that I think about it. But like, they're very behaviorally different, male to female. The male is very similar to my juvenile male that I already have, which I found very interesting to see. They're very skeptical, very cautious, very hesitant, very quick to retreat to their safe spot, very vocal, like really vocal, huffy puffy, heavy breathing. You can hear it when they're nervous. The female is very confident and observant, and she goes from 0 to like ready to defend and fight pretty quickly. So I think I need to build some trust with her, much in the same way that I do with monitor lizards. But the males I can just pick up, no problem. The female, I have to like sit with her, use the hook, kind of communicate a little bit that we're hanging out, and try to switch her off because she's a beast. Mm-hmm. And so far they've been eating well for me, so they're going to get more food today. I've still been doing the little quail and chick down on the nose of the rat that I'm offering them, and so far they haven't really given me any hesitation or fiddling around with the food or anything. So I don't know, maybe the flight from Colorado to Memphis to California, you know, broke them of whatever food quirks they had. So do mine piss every day? No. I know that they urate frequently, and especially right after you clean them, they definitely like to leave little urates. I wouldn't say it's every day. I would say my males probably do it every 3 days. I'll find a little new spot. The female actually I'm experimenting with running her on cocoa blocks right now because I was worried that not having a buffer in the heat from belly heat was keeping her too hot and then having her too riled up and too fired up all the time and too anxious. So by putting a good layer of cocoa blocks, it kind of adds a thermal buffer a little bit. So it kind of cools her enclosure down a little. But I'm also not seeing it as much. So I think they all still do it a little bit, but I'm also feeding mine very small and sparingly. So I don't know. They like to pee a little bit, but they're not as bad as retics in my opinion. And to be honest, my perspective could be completely different from yours because I have Crebos and Hognose.
Yeah, good I was point, just going to say they can't be much worse than falsies either.
I would argue that falsies are probably worse than my Crebos by a little. My Crebos, they're predictable. They're a little predictable. Usually 4 days after a meal, you'll have 2 to 3 messes to clean up with in the next 2 days, and that's about it. But yeah, my Hognose, I mean, I'll literally flip the lights on in the morning and they'll like have written their name with poop on the glass. Like, you know what I mean?
See, there's no enjoyment. And like, to me, that's just like, no.
It's all work. And like I was saying, if they were in maybe a 6-foot enclosure and I had, 10 snakes instead of 120,
I'd
enjoy it more. So, but for right now, I'm just like, you know what? I got Apodora to worry about. I've got Crebos to dial in better. I've got, all this other stuff going on. I've got Maclots that I keep forgetting I have until they like are biting the crap out of me. Like, why do I have these things?
Yeah, me and Maclots, we've tried.
I I'm not sold on them yet. They're beautiful. I love them, and I think they're amazing as adults. I just don't know if they're for me yet. I still have them, and I'm gonna give it a shot. But they hate me. They're evil as shit. Then again, so are those that I got from you, and I love them. So,
yeah, man, I don't know what it is about that freaking Xanac gene in the IJs, man. It just makes them evil. But to the other point, the one that you sent me, that thing is probably that is the most turned on carpet I've ever worked with in my entire life. Like that thing is just like, it puffs up like, I'm going to kill you, man. I'm going to kill you now. Come on. And it's just like, holy shit.
Like this repeat of the same clutch, exactly the same way.
Oh my God. And it does that thing where they get so tense and they just kind of fall over.
Yeah.
Like,
when I go to clean and do stuff, they're perching on the water and they're squeezing it so hard and they're striking that they're pulling the water off the cup and flying and like striking at the tub and like getting their tooth caught on their upper lip because they hit it 100 times. They're just, but they eat.
Jesus.
They eat. They're savage.
Yeah. And it's so weird because I'm so used to IJs being the calmer ones.
Yeah, these F1s are not calm. There's no chill in them at all.
And I tell you what, the wild ones I have, like they just handle so different than any carpet python I have. Like I can't keep it on a hook. I can't hold it in my hand. It's just like it just like whoop, like it just has a different feel to it, man. It's like it's very strange, you know.
Darwin like that. They're not comfortable in hand, not good on hooks, very awkward. Like,
yeah, man. They just want to get off. They're like they're you know, like they're constantly moving, you know.
Just I gotta figure out which little demon female is going to you from this clutch. I'm gonna send Tony one. I'm gonna send Terrell one, and then so I got a pair in this clutch that I posted the male a few days ago. He's nearly black.
The dark ones, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're nearly black. Like when you photograph them on camera, the flash really makes them black. And then you look at them in person and it's like a dark chocolate black, right? A female who was just holding out on shedding just shed out, and she's just as dark as him. The rest of the clutch has a spectrum from, you know, super bright cherry red to bright, but you can see that the top is going to have some nice black and contrast from top to bottom on the flanks.
Right.
So, but I'm not really sure why these two hatched out super dark.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I tend to think maybe that's we're so used to seeing the one phenotype of them, you know, that I think sometimes we forget that, you know what I mean? You think of like just the carpets in Queensland, you know, up that coast and how different they look from spot to spot. I would imagine it's kind of the same. There's like the chocolate ones that I call chocolate. They're like a lot of brown, but no real yellow. It's almost like it's like that chocolate and like a white, or like a dirty white, almost like a gray white, but not gray, like a citrus tiger gray. You know what I mean? Not that kind of look. How are they looking, by the way? Yeah, nice.
They're awesome. All the albinos. Only 4 of the hets didn't want to eat. And contrary to my maternally incubated jungles that were super docile, these things are not. These things are happy to bite. They're little rippers. So.
Citrus. I remember the citrus. So my citrus tigers, when I first got them, were like that, and the female mellowed out, but the like my main ones, the two, the female, she's the most chill snake ever. I love that snake. It's my favorite snake. And then the male, though, like he's just you know, like as soon as she's like, oh, monkey man, food, where is it? I'm just gonna put it out my head until something hits it. Is it a hook? You know, it doesn't matter.
Perfect.
It's like, holy shit, man. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's
Almost like Womas.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, I know a Woma like that.
that's another clutch. We got to figure out what you want from Senior.
Oh yeah, so many decisions we have to make between
We're
us.
gonna show snakes.
Oh, look at that! Look at that beauty.
Stop biting me. Don't pee on the computer again.
Isn't carpet python baby bites the best? Like it's just like a little like meh.
Yeah, it's like
It is nice when they can't really hurt you.
Yeah, it's just like, meh.
Stop you.
They go meh, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I demand that sound effect every time I get bit this year.
You're gonna have to record it and you can play it. Meh.
Frog. So this is what did I grab? This is a female. Ow! I think this is one of the caramel albinos. Why? Yeah, they all ate. They're awesome. They had no issues. They're like, food? Cool. Kill it.
Yeah, man.
So,
Nice.
freaking warm in here.
I got a question for you, Mr. Aspadites.
Oh, yay.
If you had to pick between blackheads and womas, which one would it be?
We should just ask them this every month and keep a tally and see if it changes.
Yeah. I'm
No,
gonna mark
does-
it down on my notes here.
it-
Go ahead.
It does change. I'm thinking critically. Blackheads. I keep blackheads.
Blackheads?
Yeah.
Why?
You want to see why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Talk for 30 seconds.
I
Okay.
know.
Talk.
I know
Uh-oh.
what he's
Is he
gonna
pulling
grab.
that?
Is one of his.
right here.
Yeah, he's gonna grab one of his recent ones. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 2-year-old Western female that just shed from Derek Roddy.
Correct.
Yeah. He came in last week at the shop and he's all excited. He's like, Grant, look at shed. And even Grant was like, God damn.
Oh, come on, man. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Wow.
Yeah.
So he
Well-
told me that she was nasty, but she still hasn't tried to bite me. So camera is probably a good opportunity for that to happen for the first time.
Yeah.
That's a
Wow,
cool
man.
thing.
So yeah, I would keep blackheads. And there's so many flavors. They get bigger. I've never been bit by a blackhead. I've been bit by many womas now.
As the head inches closer and closer to his head.
They
Yeah.
just seem a little
Right
bit
up to
smarter
his face.
to me
Yeah.
and a little bit more cognitively present.
I agree with that statement based on the small sample size of observations.
Meh.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that the only part of the blackheads that those hybrids inherited was literally the black head. The rest is all.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Those things are so dumb about food. They're like,
They
everything's food. Eat it.
just like womas.
Yeah. But they have a black head.
So yeah,
I upgraded them, by the way. You'll find they're in big kid tubs now.
good.
Crap
But
all
yeah.
over the place.
They're
I
cool,
would
man.
keep the blackheads.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the Westerns or the Easterns? The Westerns?
Now that's tricky. I think that I'm really enamored with the Westerns right now because they just became available to me recently, like
Uh-huh.
they're new for me, but I think that both phenotypes have their pluses. I do really like the look of the Eastern as well. And I think that we also have to acknowledge the fact that probably most of the blackheads in the US, despite our best efforts, are mixed. And I think that some of the animals that get some of the best of both worlds are some of the best that I've ever seen. Ones with Western contrast but Eastern color. Don't discount that.
Yeah.
That's basically what Swiss line is, if I'm not mistaken, is a mixture of the two that has been refined for nice clean bands but still having good color. So I don't know, it's tricky. I like them both.
Now the one we saw in the wild wasn't as nice as that, but dude, that was life-changing, man. That was cool. Yeah.
I believe it. I think that I'm to a point now where when, not if, that happens for me, I'm just gonna faint.
You'll lose your shit, man.
Yeah.
I think that's like kind of the next step in keeping like it. That's the next progression of keeping is becoming obsessed with finding your species, whether you breed it or you just keep it well. Then the next step, whether you do want to breed or not, I think needs to be seeing it in the wild. I think that's like if you really truly appreciate an animal and you have the opportunity to go see it in the wild, that should be next on your list.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night, and that's a drum I've been beating for a while. And I only beat it because it sounds like I beat it to death, but like I wish somebody would have sort of forced me to do it when I was younger, because I think like, man, I missed out on a lot of time that I could have been doing this. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
didn't,
Absolutely.
there was always a reason, always an excuse, but shit, man, you can't get the time back, once it's gone, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. Wow. Look at that.
This one, he's in pre-shed right now, but this is the other Western.
That thing's super nice.
Good
I kind of
Lord.
like how the bands get wide at the top there, and it makes it like almost a black back.
Yeah.
And that black stripe behind the chin.
Very pretty.
So my Palmerston jungle female has that black line that's on the belly or sort of on the chin down, but it goes down the entire body of the snake.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Oh, it's so cool.
I love seeing that.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Derek has blackheads with a black stripe on the entire belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he does.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like Riley said, ask me next month. Maybe I'll pick Womas.
After I show you the picture of Keith.
Yeah. Or if I just go look at the things I have.
Yeah. True story.
I hatched out another female zebra this year that's like partially dorsally striped.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
But what I find a lot is the zebras have striped bellies.
Yeah. And Owen told me for the longest time that if you couldn't breed stripes into a zebra.
Oh, I think it's impossible to say that you can't, because Palmerston is in zebra.
Yeah.
Like the zebra gene has Palmerston origins.
Speaking of zebra, I have a carpet cliff notes on the zebra carpet python and the history and the origins and all that stuff, genetics issues, some of the combos that have been done to date. And
That'll be slick.
Awesome.
I got Justin Julander because he was really the first guy in the U.S. to produce zebra carpets.
Nice.
So I got him to do a little pre-intro on Reptile Fight Club, and I'm going to throw that in there. So it should be cool.
Sweet.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Look forward to that. I got to record some more Call You Bird Corner with Owen.
Yeah, we ran out. I was like, I forget. So what I've been doing is like I used to do it like every time I would go to release it, I would mix it, which was kind of dumb, right? So I just started doing it to where I would mix all three of them and just like keep the intro and the outro, take it out, put the new one in, cut it, edit it, pay, blah, blah, blah. And then just do all three. And then I found out that on our platform that hosts the podcast, you can set it to just release. Like today. Schedule. Yeah. Today, the Reptile Fight Club came out and I was like, I don't even remember editing it, and I was like, oh look, a new version of the Reptile Fight Club. Like I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be excellent.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. Technology is our friend.
Yes, 100%.
Riley, you should do Tantilla in honor of their herping find, and then you can talk about colubroids.
Interesting.
I'll be right back.
Good.
Or not. I don't know.
Oh, I could. I was considering reaching out to Owen and Rob to see if there was anything on their radar that they were like really itching for lately. And I'm sure if I ask Rob, there will be answers influenced by their most recent tech trip. It would be topical, and I actually will take that suggestion to heart. That's a good one. There's patch nose, there's leaf nose. There's the little
Black-headed
blackhead.
ones. Yeah.
There's, what else is there? There's racers. There's coach whips. There's lyre snakes. There's night snakes. There's alterna. There's gray. Like, dude, there's everything there. Everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, I
Uh,
personally want to know more about the tantillas because they're apparently also dipsadids, which makes no sense in my head. Like,
hooked on that right now.
huh?
You're hooked on that. That's in your head.
Well,
man.
it's just weird because like everything else, like that makes sense. Like hog noses, falsies, all those different things being dipsadids makes sense to me. But
right.
then there's tantilla.
Yeah, that they are kind of a gray area in themselves, right?
I don't know.
You know what else I should? I need to reach out to Ryan Dumas about the Madagascar leaf nose snakes, the Langaha. Have you seen those?
I have not.
Oh, they're crazy. The interesting thing about them is they're sexually dimorphic, and the males and females have different rostral appendage shapes and structures. But they're a trippy little colubrid. But yeah, my list keeps growing as things are going on, or I hear of other stuff, or new discoveries are happening, or I see something at a reptile show. I'll make those little notes in my phone, so this list of colubrid species is just growing and growing. Not good.
Nice.
that you want?
That I'm just curious about, that I'd love to keep, that we should talk about for the show. Every time I go visit my friend Glenn, he introduces me to something that I've either never seen in person or never heard of. And he's local to me, and he loves all sorts of good stuff like that. And so he's got butterflower rat snake babies, and I was drooling over those. I mean, Baronite, rhino rats, like all these cool things, man. It's just like, if only I had an endless amount of time, money, and warehouse space to literally work with every snake species on the planet. I would just be like, all right, I'm going till I die. I'm just going to do this. I'm literally try and fill this with everything possible till I die.
Right.
That would just be amazing.
Yeah.
I'd go crazy. Start with Australia.
Would you ever keep, if you could, would you ever keep Australian venomous?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Partially because I feel like the antivenom synthesis they have for those species is so dialed in that it's very safe, even in a situation if an accident happens. If you've got that figured out, I mean, obviously rural areas, if you don't have anti-venom on hand, you're in trouble. But those things, man, I was just watching a video from this YouTube channel called The Nature of Science. It hasn't put out a video in like 3 years, and they're talking about why Australian snakes are so much more venomous than other snakes. And basically it's because they're on an island. Food isn't quite as available as some of the other places. It's very limited, and some of them have to be extremely toxic to make sure they get that meal for sure. And they were grabbing, 6 different venomous and literally hand milking into a vial and looking at the volume and comparing. It was pretty crazy. I think I would start with a lot of the Sudetches, the Colette snakes and red belly blacks and whatnot. Okay. And then I would really, really love to see a taipan in a naturalistic setup, like hunting around doing its thing, because they're such switched on snakes. And then seeing a death adder perfectly camouflaged in some leaf litter in a nice naturalistic setup would be pretty epic as well.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
I don't have any like personal hesitance or doubt in myself working with venomous. I don't know. I had enough of a solid foundation at a good, safe, respectful pace and foundation that like I I'm pretty confident and I trust myself with hooks and with certain animals as long as it's in a good space and open room, and you know what I mean? Like I feel pretty confident in my ability to manipulate and keep myself out of striking range at the very least, you know? So you just have to be patient and understand it's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to just pick up a snake on a hook and just go in the can, go in the cage. It's like you're gonna work with it, play with it, and you're gonna earn it, you know? So playing with in the zoo, getting some of the venomous out into the elephant barn and locking ourselves in with a ton of space was just kind of like the best way to really build that confidence and that hook skill foundation. So
that's interesting.
I'm pretty ambidextrous with hooks. I can kind of use them left and right handed and feel like it's an extension of my hand. So
nice.
That's cool. How many hours did you have to work with?
I mean, the way we did it in Santa Barbara, as far as the zoos go, they require some sort of formal training education structure that can be unique to the facility. Florida's hour system is their state system. California doesn't have anything like that, so zoos can kind of do whatever they want. But I spent a year and a half training on Heloderma and pit vipers and false water cobras and rattlesnakes and things like that. So it took me about a year and a half of putting in at least an hour or so every week here and there, feeding, cleaning, vet procedures, whatever it was. And then eventually got to the point where not only was I signed off on all the venomous as one of the primary keepers, but I eventually took the reins in training some of the keepers that came in after me for a few years and taught the program and kind of helped other people get their certification for a few years. So yeah, that's fun.
Awesome.
It's good stuff. I'll tell you, I'm much more confident with venomous snakes than crocodilians, but crocs are there's easy ways to stay out of trouble, I guess. But I don't know, with venomous snakes you kind of have to be somewhat in harm's way a little bit. I don't know. I just connect better with snakes. So
yeah, I would think that kind of plays a part in I mean, if you feel more comfortable with the snakes, then
yeah, I never got nervous about being in close proximity with venomous or working with them on hooks at like waist level or eye level, or I don't know. I've just never really, and maybe that's a naive thing to not be, a little bit hesitant or nervous. And maybe I would be in something new, but I don't know. I just trust my abilities, I guess. Pretty confident using hooks with animals that don't like me. So,
right.
Yeah. Like Eastern Diamondbacks that are 5.5 feet and you're using a 40-inch hook and you got to choke up a foot just to get the leverage so you can hold it. And the hook's bowing because she weighs 8 pounds. And now she's not 40 inches away from you, but more like 26 inches away from you and has about a 30-inch strike range. And she hates everything about your existence. You get pretty good and confident with your hook skills. So,
heck yeah.
So I don't know if I'd ever want to keep any at home. I've tossed that idea around over the years off and on. And I think ultimately, unless I was involved in an organization or institution that had a good protocol, a team, anti-venom on hand, some sort of system where an accident could be handled systematically very well. At home, it just seems like it's too flippant and too much room for error. I like the fact that I can tell people I've had 0 accidents, 0 bites, and 100% success rate in everything I've done involved in venomous. So I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. They're fun though. I love Heloderma. I'd keep Gilas or beaded lizards. That's for sure. They're fun.
Yeah.
That's my dad's dream.
Yeah, they're cool,
Dream.
man.
I just did get him dart frogs for Father's Day. It's pretty cool.
What kind?
Aw. What a
I'm
good
bad with-
son.
I'm bad with the species name, but they're the yellow and black and blue legs ones. If you say it, I would know.
They're Cinctorius. The
Yeah.
if they're yellow and black and blue legs, they could be. Well, there's a lot of different localities they could be, but yeah, those are pretty.
I think I have a picture of it. Hold on, let me see if I have.
I love dart frogs. One of my coworkers in Santa Barbara instilled a love of dart frogs in me from a very early time, and just kind of got me fascinated with breeding them and raising tadpoles and stuff. And so I was fortunate enough to do that enough to appreciate the heck out of them. And we got some at the shop that I'm raising up for breeding too. So, Lucas, you should get some frogs.
I would love some frogs.
Oh, those are so pretty. Those are citronellas.
Is that what they are? Yeah,
I believe that's a citronella. Those are absolutely gorgeous. Those are nice because they're confident when they get to be adults. They get big. They're like probably 3 inches diagonally because of the arch, and they'll sit out, and they're confident little frogs, man. And with your dad's green thumb and ability to really dial in a nice plant vivarium, those are going to be some showstoppers for sure.
Yeah. It was he had so I went there. When did I go there? Right before Father's Day. Right when I got back from Texas, I stopped there, and
What, Hamburg?
No. I went to his place. I bought. We got them from Black Jungle. I just looked up, dart frogs and whatnot, and they could do gift certificate or whatever. I think I remember Zach telling me that was they were who he used. Right. But I went to his place, and he has the cage that he's been growing out for like the past 3 or 4 months, and I was like, what are you putting in here? He's like, oh, these are the dart frogs, but I don't really have the money to get them right now. So I tell my siblings, I was like, whatever dumb shit you're gonna buy Dad for your for Father's Day, just don't do it. It's a waste of money. Just put in money. I'm going to give this much, you put in whatever you can, and he'll be able to get a group of these frogs. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
dude, that's cool.
Better than an Amazon gift card or whatever the hell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I would like that. I would be like, yes, finally, somebody figured me out. It's
good job, kids.
Exactly. That's awesome, man. That's cool. I think it's neat to be so focused on the carpet pythons and everything you've got going on, and then seeing your dad have his sort of resurrection back into the hobby, and then just having a genuine, truly devoted love for whatever's right in front of him and doing it. And we kind of get to pull a little of that positive energy out from your observations with it. And I think that's probably the main reason why I can never only keep one species, just because there's too much enrichment for me in seeing all this other stuff.
Yeah. It's I think it had I think probably I try to equate what was this change in my thinking and keeping and all these things, and why did I have this shift in my head, and I think there's a multitude of reasons, but the thing that I think probably affected me more than anything was his style of keeping, right? Mm-hmm. And what amazes me, and I say this all the time, is he doesn't go on Facebook groups. He doesn't listen to YouTube. He didn't even know I had this YouTube channel. He's like, wait, you're on YouTube? I didn't know that. I can listen to you all the time now. And I'm like,
you mean he wasn't subscribed?
Yeah, I was like, wait, Dad, you didn't subscribe? Yeah, I did. I was like, we're trying to get to 1,000. I need every person subscribe, damn it. All of you people at this dinner table, subscribe now.
over the loudspeaker at the grocery store.
Attention all shoppers, please, on your way home, subscribe to the Morelia Python Radio Network YouTube channel. Thank you.
10% off.
You want a COVID shot? Subscribe.
Hell yeah.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, man, I like, dude, the it started with these emerald green skinks, and like, he's got a group of, what has he got? 3 of them?
Those
Three
are
of
cool.
them. He's got this cage. He's got the foggers in this thing. He's got, dude, it's nuts. He's got this desert set up with live. And that's the thing. That's the other thing, right? I hear all the time about people keeping naturalistic enclosures and they struggle with desert. Not him. He's got all these live plants in this desert setup with these. He's got like these shale rocks and stuff that are like made into caves. And I'm like, what the hell? Why? What?
That's exactly what I want to do for my little crocodile geckos. Do
Yeah,
something
man.
like that with rocks and slate and
So impressive, man.
That's awesome.
It's very palpable how much of that is becoming a focus in the hobby these days, and it's really cool because ultimately it means people are just trying to do better for their animals, and it's really cool, man. It's really inspiring. I mean, I still keep and breed things in racks and whatnot, but like even that's changing. Like I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's not something you can just. That's what I try to explain, right? We can't just like, you've kept this way for X amount of time. You can't just you can't just flip the switch and everything changes, It's like you slowly evolve over time and, you add this, that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, he makes comments to me like, he's like, yeah, I don't understand why you keep them in this drawer. You never get to see them. Like, what's the point of even having them if you can't see what they do? And I'm like, fair play.
I think after you guys found those videos of like Womas excavating sand burrows, and now that I have Womas, like I want to keep them on sand so I can see them,
Yeah.
So I think
100%.
Definitely a big shift for me anyway. I'm constantly being pulled with my internal struggles of trying to have all the carpet pythons and trying to survive.
Yeah. And even that, like, I think like I have a nice group of like reds and MBBs and all different striped reds and different outcross reds and Russian tiger reds and, all these different reds for like a nice red tiger project. And, like the thing that I think this is where like somebody like Martin inspires me, or somebody like, John Battaglia or something like that, where he's like, okay, yeah, all these carpets are cool, but I'm going to do this. And this is what I'm going to be. You know what I mean? It's like, I dig them all, but this is the project that I'm going to breed, and sort of focus on that. And, there's so many of those things that me personally, I could have. And like, I just kind of like try to do it all, so that's why I'm trying to take it back. Right. So like morph wise, it's citrus tigers. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I have this huge group of these things and I'm like, I don't know.
We just need an advocate and a champion for each project to make sure it stays around, that's all.
That was always my worry, that it would kind of disappear into nothing. And, but even still, like, I don't know, there's just some of them I can't get rid of, and I can't see myself not having them. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to do it. I guess I'm taking over another bedroom or something.
Building a building in the back.
That too, yeah. Or I'm gonna move. I don't know. Okay,
Yeah, or you're gonna have to like lease a warehouse.
MPR Serpentarium.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, the dream.
That might have to happen in a couple of years.
The dream.
I think it does.
I would love that to happen.
We have everything we need.
Yeah, just form an LLC real quick, and then just make it a rodent breeding warehouse in the front with a little retail section, and
when we're struggling at the very beginning, Eric and I can busk in the streets for change.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just have a little music stage up front, and maybe a little bar.
We're building a snake house.
We'll get permitted a liquor license to sell beer there. It'll be great.
Dude. speaking of music, right? There's another thing that me and Keith sort of like lock in on is music, right? And it's so funny to have somebody that can appreciate music on a musician's level, but don't have any idea of how, of what's hard to do or not hard to do. You know what I mean? It's just like they just love the music for the beauty of the music. And like every day we're sending each other back and forth. Like he'll send me this thing and I'm like, oh, you never heard of this guy. Check this guy out, And he's like, what the hell? Not
That's
even
awesome.
anything like I think I sent him because he's sort of like I think he's sort of like me, sort of like a blue, like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like I'm sure he's heard Stevie Ray Vaughan, but not like what I sent him. So I sent him like Voodoo Child, like live at the El Macabo or whatever it is. And he's just like, what the hell? And he's like,
It's the best.
He's like, that's unbelievable. I sent him like Eric Johnson,
Eric Johnson,
like some of his stuff, and he's like, "What the hell? This guy is not human."
I know. I think I've told you. I know his old personal guitar tech.
Oh, really?
Down in Santa Cruz. Yeah, he works on all my guitars. Well, until I moved.
Right.
But, yeah.
Very cool.
Steve Crisp.
You got to get that Johnson tone.
Well, yeah. I don't have any strats, but
no.
Nah, I'm a Jazzmaster guy.
Oh, you're a Fender guy.
Fender guy.
But Jazzmaster. Okay, fair enough.
Jazzmasters and Tellys.
All right. Riley is like a Dimebag Darrell V-cut.
Jackson, freaking.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's good. That's the best when you're like pissed or trying to work out, man. That's the music. That's the go-to music.
Friday's drive home, like on Friday, the windows are down, the ghetto, just fucking blaring Pantera. Like, darn it, go your
Steve Riley,
all the other people driving in front of me are looking in the mirrors, like, what the hell? And there's just me in the background, like, it's like, wow, he's doing that.
It's funny. I moved away from that when the older I got, and it's like, I guess I have to mellow out a bit, because I'm not as angry as I used to be when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I find I need it more in spurts nowadays, but those spurts still like first thing in the morning, lunch break, on my drive home, occasionally while cleaning the snakes. Like, there's just so much to it, and I keep finding more of it that I've like ignored over the years too. So music and snakes, no end to it.
We had in Texas, we had a very deep discussion, me, Phil, and Rob, about music. And, I said that I think it's silly that people, first of all, I think the whole idea of, like who's the best, because it's so personal. Right. Like what you like and how you can relate to the music and the song and all. It's like, I don't know. It's just a silly, like, dick measuring contest about my guitar player is better than your guitar player that you like. So your guitar player is shit, Yeah. It's like, no, not really.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't really do that with art.
No. Right. So what?
There's a lot of people with perfect technique that can't hear or feel worth a shit. And
it's true, man. Yeah. We talked about that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in reptiles too. There's a lot of people that can buy and set up a beautiful collection, but if they don't have the mind for it and they don't know what they're doing, it falls flat.
Yeah. I see so many parallels between music and reptiles.
There does seem to be some linkage in the people.
Yeah.
Mine's brutal, fast, and loose.
I like it.
Motor.
Okay. All right.
Excellent.
Well, we are at now that we had that
our 2-hour mark.
Okay.
We've gone on all sorts of journeys and tangents.
Sure did.
And Eric, think about what you want as far as citrus tiger stuff, because now that things are eaten, your stuff over there, so I don't have to even be tempted by it, because I don't know, man. Like, anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
We'll go down another tangent.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah,
all
cool.
right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. For everybody who knows, find us on NPR and all the other shows that's going on. Check out the Patreon, become a supporter today. There's 2 tiers, and if you want to join the inland tier, that gets you access to a private monthly Q&A live stream with everybody, including Owen, Eric, Lucas, and myself. Occasionally, we'll try and rope Rob in on those things as he's available. But yeah, if you want to support what Eric and Owen have built over the last decade, there's the Patreon. There's the YouTube channel you're watching this on now. If you're watching this live or recorded later, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And otherwise, you can check out all the shows on Spotify and most of your other major podcast apps. And for me, my name is Riley Jimison. You can just find me on YouTube under Riley Jimison or everything socials for Riley's Reptiles. And that's all I got.
Very good. Very good. I am Lucas, and you can find me if you want to at Centurion Exotics.
If you want breadline, I got your breadline.
Yeah, if you want to see how bad I'm saturating that market, give me a follow. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Jokes.
Cool. Yeah, and just check out the website, moreliapythonradio.com. And if you want to get in touch with me or us, info@moreliapythonradio.com. That's it.
Slayer.
Jazz hands.
Yeah. Do metal music, the jazz hands, like
Yes.
Master
Hey,
of puppets.
It works.
Master.
There's a lot of parallels with jazz and metal. But have a great weekend, everybody.
Yes. Yes.
We've lost it.
Right on.
Later.
You can't lose what you never had.
That's